Alrighty, welcome back. Thanks for being my friends, like I said before. So, we're gonna watch some more time traveler videos of these time travelers. So, I'm interested in watching this first one. Alrighty, so let's go.
Past, you're in the original event. So the paradox actually is the paradox of retrocausation. Let me use an example. When in 1972, I was sent by Dr. Sterling Colgate and my father from a time lab in East Hanover, New Jersey. The building's still there. It's the brick daycare center at a Presbyterian church on School Road in East Hanover, New Jersey. That was a time lab in the early 70s. I was sent there via a technology called plasma confinement to the day that Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address, which was November 19th of 1863. And I was photographed by a photographer that I think was Matthew Brady. It's disputed. Some people believe it was a photographer assistant of Brady named Bacharach. But it looked like Matthew Brady because I saw him as he was taking the photograph of the citizens of Gettysburg gathering to see President Lincoln give a speech, which was the caption of that famous photograph that I'm in from Gettysburg of that day. But let me just explain how I was using this as an example of how the quantum paradox actually works.
Sure.
Now, if you ponder the fact that I was sent there, photographed in 1863, and then after its discovery in 1951, this photograph has been widely published in news magazines because until 2007 it was the sole surviving photograph of Lincoln at Gettysburg. That begs the question of, did I not exist in the photograph until 1972? Jump there, get photographed, and create another timeline that I return to where suddenly my image was in all the news magazines that republished the Josephine Cobb image of Lincoln at Gettysburg? Or was I always in all of those photographs? And the latter is the case. Why? This is the paradox of retrocausation. From the perspective of 1863, I arrived as a time traveler from the future, was photographed, and hence my image was always in the photograph. So from the perspective of 1972, I had to go to 1863 to be in the photograph. But if I had flipped through, let's say, that September 1963 edition of the National Geographic that republished the Josephine Cobb image of Lincoln at Gettysburg, I would have seen myself in that image. That is to say that the past is immutable in the sense that when you go back in time to change it, the sine qua non of time travel is that you're in the past event, the original event. So I challenge the notion of Schrodinger's cat and the notion of a second timeline breaking off, because when you go back to that past event, you're in the original event. The notion of a second timeline branching off, I think, is a form of magical thinking. But I would distinguish that concept from the idea of being sent to a different timeline. For example, we found that the chronovisors were unreliable as an intelligence gathering device, an intelligence gathering time machine, because every time they sent us to quote-unquote the same past event, it was always a slightly different version of that same past event.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so for example, when I would pop into view in front of Ford's Theater and try to talk myself past the ticket table in the front of the lobby, right inside the door, as a society child dressed in my Sunday best, and try to convince them that my parents had already been admitted with my ticket and were sitting inside, the person who would greet me at the ticket table was always a different person. It was like a man and his son, and it was the man by himself on the second jump. On the third jump, let's say it was just his son, then it was his son and his brother.
So is that you, in effect, creating a small paradox?
Well, I don't think we should think of the disparate timelines as paradoxical per se. I think we should think instead of the fact...
Yes, but you've got change. You've got change.
Well, according to one estimate, the multiverse contains as many timelines as would be expressed numerically by a number at 12-point type that would stretch for 130 million miles. Actually, what happens when you go back and you try to change...
I know we've all wanted to time travel, okay? Because there has been a million times when I said, man, if I could have only went back in time. So, I think that is actually so interesting. Let's watch this fellow.
Here where he says he went to a Taco Bell from 1984.
Guys, I am here in 1984.
Started
time traveler because of the videos that he's been posting. Like this one right here where he says he went to a Taco Bell from 1984.
Guys, I am here in 1984. As you can see behind me, there's Taco Bell. Not lying. Look at this, 1984, guys, Taco Bell.
And then there's this one where he says that he traveled to the 1880s.
I'm in Western Times. Let me show you something. Guys, I'm here in 1885 in a little town called Los Angeles before it became what it is today.
But not everybody believes him, so he went ahead and he posted this video right here where he's able to identify the color of the car before it even drives past him.
For those of you who still do not believe that I'm a time traveler, this is going to be absolute proof that I am. I'm about to prove to you that I've already lived this day and I could pretty much predict everything that's about to happen. Let me show you. White truck, white car. Gray car. Gray car, white car. Blue car, gray car.
So you have to believe him after that one, okay? And if you still don't, he just posted one a few days ago and this is what he had to say.
Guys, I'm in 2018. You can tell behind me, I'm in Sweet Tomatoes. Check this out. Guys, I'm inside Sweet Tomatoes. Everyone knows that all the restaurants closed after COVID and they don't exist anymore. I'm here, guys.
People believe that this guy is a time traveler.
Well, I believe him. He's fully saying, I'm here, guys. And he's, showing himself there. And honestly, a lot of these things are real and people just don't believe these things. They always want to think it's a hoax or something is going on. So.
Does time travel exist? Yes, and we can do it. Your teacher, Ernst Veter, is with you, and today I will tell you about how time travel is carried out. Firstly, while time travel is possible, what will probably disappoint many is that time travel is possible only in a mental form. That is, we cannot transfer the physical form in time, but we can transfer the mental form. Moving back is doable. Transfers forward into the future are quite difficult, but it is also possible. In order for you to make a return to the past, you basically need to use only 3 techniques. The first technique is immersion. The technique goes like this. You have to dissolve into the state of a particular pleasant emotion that you have ever found yourself in. That is, your entry point will be a certain emotion that you were in. You have to remember this emotion. As a rule, this can be remembered thanks to some old song, what we call nostalgia. This is the entry point, thanks to some film or thanks to some special event that we have in our memory. It is very important that this entry point is at a very high vibration. For those who do not yet know what vibrations are, I recommend obtaining this course and studying the topic of vibrations. This is a very important point. Then, of course, visualization. Without it, you can't get anywhere. And thirdly, you must be able to put together all 3 things. That is, first, you must dissolve in this image in which you remember. Second, you have to raise your vibrations. Your vibrations should be raised about 10 to 15% above the vibrations you are experiencing at that moment. And third, visualization. You have to compose your thought, be able to visualize it, and send it through a certain vibrational channel. I tell you how to do this in my private seminar, and here I tell you everything in general terms, but I will tell you this. My teacher demonstrated it to me personally. This was done as follows. He said, Ernst, do you want me to show you how I can travel in time? He gave me his hand and a scar appeared on the hand. He forced his consciousness to go back in time and injure himself. How precise, clear, and understandable there must be this inculcation, so that a person does not perceive it as some kind of ordinary, but fulfills it without any objections, realizing that it is his consciousness that tells him this, and it tells him from the future. These are complicated things, and let's just say it uses quite a lot of energy. But if you master it, believe me, you will become kings in your life. And to learn something now and realize it in the past is worth a lot. Stay with me. There will be many more interesting things. Your teacher, Ernst Veter.
interestingly enough, I know someone that can time travel, but like in a younger person's body, like what he said, like a younger version of himself or different versions of himself. And I think, you know what? I feel like these are pretty cool topics that we should like really, really dig deep into, you know? Because there's so much more to life than we were taught and than we actually know. And I find these things so interesting, you know? Like the universe is a really intriguing place. It's very interesting. Well, like, comment, and subscribe, and thanks so much for being my friend and watching these videos with me. We got a lot of work to do.
In the forest deep and green, fairies dance like shadows seen.